welcome to the deep dive. Ever feel like happy just doesn't quite cover it?
Oh, definitely. Or sad feels,
Yeah,
well, too blunt for what you're actually experiencing at that moment.
exactly. So today we're diving into this really fascinating conversation we found. It's between two English language learners, and they were grappling with exactly this, how to better understand and, express their feelings.
Yeah, how to articulate what's going on inside.
Right. And our mission here really is to equip you, our listeners, with some practical insights and maybe some vocabulary too.
Mm-hmm. To help move beyond those, let's say, basic emotional labels.
Yeah, and tap into a richer understanding of your inner world. For those of you who like efficient learning, think of this as maybe a shortcut to a more nuanced emotional vocabulary.
And what's so valuable about the exchange we're digging into is how real world it feels.
Totally.
It's not abstract theory. It's about the actual practical steps these people took.
Yeah.
And a key insight that pops up pretty early is this: understanding those subtle shades of our emotions. It's not just about having more words in your pocket.
Right. It's more than that.
It's about unlocking deeper self-awareness and potentially maybe gaining a bit more control over how we navigate our internal landscape.
Exactly. It's like having a whole painter's palette instead of just, red, blue, yellow.
Good analogy.
When you only have happy, you kind of miss out on the nuances, don't you? Feeling thrilled or grateful or maybe just peaceful.
Yeah, they're all different flavors of good.
And sad. Well, that doesn't capture the difference between feeling, say, disappointed or lonely or even frustrated.
Mm-hmm. Very distinct feelings.
And the conversation we looked at, it touches on that feeling of being stuck.
Yeah.
And sometimes that stagnation, that feeling stuck, it comes from not having the precise language to figure out what's really going on inside.
That feeling of being stuck is such a powerful signal, isn't it?
It really is.
When your emotional vocabulary is limited, it can absolutely feel like you're just running in place, sort of unable to fully process or communicate what you're experiencing.
Yeah, like you can't quite pin it down.
Exactly. And building on that, the conversation we're looking at, it introduces a really helpful approach. Gradually expanding your emotional vocabulary, little by little.
The baby steps idea.
Precisely.
Yeah.
They use this lovely analogy, likening it to planting a tree.
Oh, they got
Small, consistent effort,
Yeah.
Leading to really significant growth over time.
I love that analogy. It really takes the pressure off needing instant mastery, doesn't it?
It does.
And it emphasizes those baby steps they mentioned, that even shared some of the new words they were actively trying to work into their language, like thrilled.
Right. Which is a much more vibrant happy, isn't it?
Totally. Or overwhelmed, which speaks to a very specific kind of not okay. It's not just stressed or busy.
It has that sense of being too much.
Yeah. And phrases like on cloud nine versus just plain happy. I mean, one paints such a vivid picture.
Absolutely. More colorful.
Even something simple like saying feeling a bit down instead of just sad. It adds, a touch more nuance, a bit more subtlety.
And what's fascinating here is the deliberate effort involved. It wasn't passive.
No, definitely not.
One of them mentioned keeping like a dedicated small notebook just for new feeling words.
Oh, interesting. Like a feelings journal almost.
Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And consciously trying to add just one new word each day. For anyone listening who appreciates a structured approach to learning, that's a fantastic, really actionable technique.
Yeah, very practical.
It's all about those small, consistent efforts adding up, leading to a more complete understanding over time.
Right. It's not just passively hearing new words. It's about actively looking for them and then crucially integrating them into your everyday chat.
Mm-hmm. Making them your own.
And the conversation highlights some really practical ways to do this too. One that really stood out to me was the idea of watching movies and TV shows.
Time.
Yes, but with a specific focus on how characters describe their feelings in different situations. Not just watching, but listening intently.
That's a brilliant technique, actually. Because you're seeing the emotional language used in context, aren't you?
Exactly. Real world context.
You're observing not just the words themselves, but, the facial expressions, the body language, the whole scenario that goes with those feelings.
Right. The whole package.
And their suggestion to actually pause the show
Yeah.
and repeat those emotional descriptions out loud. That's a really powerful way to reinforce both your understanding and, well, your pronunciation too.
Absolutely. It makes it active learning, not just passive watching. And it's not just about piling up more words, is it?
No, not at all.
It's about grasping the subtle differences in meaning. They used a great example, I'm on cloud 9, versus just, I'm happy.
Mm-hmm. Both positive.
Both positive, sure. But on cloud 9 clearly conveys a much stronger sense of elation, pure joy.
A higher intensity.
Yeah. Understanding these nuances allows for more precise communication, doesn't it? And it makes your conversations feel more, colorful and real.
And this richer vocabulary, it has a tangible impact.
Yeah.
You see it in relationships.
How so?
Well, when we can articulate our feelings with more precision than just, good or bad or okay, we actually help others understand us on a much deeper level. It makes real connection possible.
That makes sense. You're giving them more to work with.
Exactly. It fosters empathy and it can really strengthen our relationships.
Yeah, the source material definitely highlights that. How expressing your true feelings, getting beyond those basic terms, leads to better understanding from friends, family, partners.
Build stronger bonds.
And ultimately build stronger friendships through that honesty and emotional authenticity. They even shared a really personal bit about feeling frustrated during their language learning journey.
Oh, yeah, I remember that part.
Which I think, honestly, many of us can relate to in any kind of learning process, right?
Absolutely. Learning anything new has its frustrations.
And they talked about how having support, someone to talk to about it, made a real difference. It kind of underscores the vulnerability that's involved in expressing genuine emotions.
Yeah, it's not always easy to put yourself out there like that.
And the importance of having understanding people around you when you do.
It's also quite insightful, I thought, to look at their personal reflections on their favorite feeling words.
Oh, right, like grateful.
Yeah, grateful was mentioned specifically for its positive impact. How focusing on it can shift your perspective, even on difficult days.
That's powerful.
And hopeful, too.
Yeah.
They talked about its role in perseverance, in keeping going.
Yeah, the power of hope.
These aren't just dictionary definitions we're talking about. They represent emotional states that actively shape how we see the world and interact with it.
It makes you think about the emotional weight of the words we choose to use, doesn't it?
It really does.
These personal touches, they make the whole thing resonate more, I find.
Me too.
It moves beyond just sort of intellectual learning and connects to the emotional core of these words and how they actually shape our experiences day to day.
Yeah.
It almost makes you pause and think, okay, which feeling words particularly resonate with me and why?
Which naturally leads us to acknowledging that this kind of learning, this kind of growth, it isn't always smooth sailing.
No, definitely not.
As our source speakers openly shared, feelings of frustration can definitely pop up.
Oh, yeah.
Any kind of growth often involves those moments where you feel a bit stuck or maybe even overwhelmed by it all.
But the key takeaway here, I think, is the importance of persevering, of going back to those baby steps we talked about.
Exactly. Don't give up.
It's about acknowledging those challenges, noticing the frustration, but not letting it derail your progress entirely.
And the value of having a supportive network, someone to share the journey with, that really shines through in their conversation too.
It really does. They offered encouragement to listeners, no matter their current level of English or even just self-awareness.
Yeah, wherever you're starting from.
To just keep learning, keep feeling, and keep trying to express themselves authentically.
That encouragement is so vital, isn't it? It's a reminder that emotional literacy, like pretty much any other skill, it develops gradually.
Slowly but surely.
Through consistent effort and, importantly, a willingness to be a little vulnerable sometimes in expressing ourselves.
So as we kind of bring this deep dive to a close, we've explored why expanding our emotional vocabulary beyond just the simple stuff like happy and sad is, well, pretty important.
Yeah, the why behind it.
We've looked at some practical strategies for actually learning and practicing new feeling words. Things like watching media closely, keeping that notebook, actionable steps.
And we've touched on the significant impact that expressing our feelings with more nuance, more precision has on our relationships and really our overall well-being.
And it all kind of circles back to that idea of small victories, doesn't it?
It does. And taking those baby steps, developing continuous learning habits, and cultivating greater emotional awareness, it isn't usually about making huge leaps overnight.
No sudden epiphanies needed.
Right. It's about those consistent small efforts that compound over time, leading to a richer and more, nuanced understanding of ourselves and others.
Okay, so here's maybe a final thought for you to consider as you go about your day. Think back to our discussion today. And identify just one new feeling word that maybe stood out to you. Perhaps it was thrilled, maybe grateful or overwhelmed or something else entirely.
Just pick one.
Just one. And today, make a conscious effort just once to maybe use that word in one of your interactions, or even just identify that feeling in yourself if it comes up.
See how it feels.
Yeah, see how it feels. Notice if it helps you express yourself a tiny bit more precisely or understand yourself a little better. It's a small step for sure.
Baby step.
Exactly. But it's a step towards a potentially deeper understanding of yourself and maybe the world around you too.